Chris Mason is the sports enterprise reporter for Mass Live. He's very smart because he's covering Belichick in North Carolina as fall practices have begun in Chapel Hill. Bill Belichick's there, and Chris Mason is there reporting. Hi, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me on.
No, we appreciate it. So good on you going down there to North Carolina. First of all, what's the press situation like down there comparatively?
Exactly the same is how I would describe it, as like a regular practice type thing in New England. If anything, he shut it down a little more with the reporters down there, where I believe he's going to be meeting with the press once a week. There's going to be 1 day of media access a week for camp down there. And it's the normal, 15-minute press conference and then 20-minute window at practice where you can watch them stretch, do some individual drills, which the local reporters down there did not love after they had Mack Brown before, who I guess kind of gave them free reign to just roam throughout practice. They were asked just not to take video of 11-on-11 drills, but they could stay out there. They could walk the sidelines, do whatever. And now the reporters are just penned on a far sideline. Looking at practice 2 fields away.
Okay, so
which is kind of funny where after covering Belichick for a while, I knew to bring binoculars and nobody else down there had them.
So Chris,
a bunch of those guys were coming up to me asking, do you see Bill? Do you know where he is? Have you seen Steven Belichick? Yeah, he's at the 20. Is Brian out there? Yep, he's on the sideline of the 40.
Never been to a camp before.
No. So Chris, that's what I wanted to ask you. Have the reporters in North Carolina asked for your guidance? You just explained that they needed your binoculars, but how are they reacting to the way Belichick is? Him being a dick. Go ahead.
So I don't think he's been bad with them in that regard at this point, and some of that I think is just the time of year where training camp, spring training, across any sport, it's just a lot of painful optimism all the time where, everybody's going to win a national championship. Everybody's going to win a Super Bowl. A lot of the storylines are really positive. So I don't think they've gotten a ton of pushback from him yet. And he can also there are times where he can be polite. He can be cordial, all this stuff. And so they're pretty early on there, and they're definitely still in that kind of honeymoon phase with him. There was only one time in his press conference on Saturday morning that he even really pushed back, and that was when a reporter started a question basically being you're a defensive mastermind. You are, one of the greatest defensive coaches of all time, but Freddie Kitchens is running the offense. And then he asked a Freddie Kitchens question, and Bill was I'm involved in everything as a head coach, so it's not going to be Freddie Kitchens' offense. Kind of like that.
You can't give the guy any credit. I mean, after all, look at what Patricia did when he took over the offense.
Just wait until TCU blows them out on opening day. Let's see how good he is with them.
And that's my question. What are the expectations? My next question. Thank you, Jonathan. That was going to be my next question. What are the expectations around there? Because that's funny. Because national people are saying they suck, but there seems to be a lot of optimism with the fan base. What is the vibe around there?
Oh, yeah. Locally, they're definitely optimistic about him taking over. But like you said, nationally, they got picked to finish 8th in the ACC preseason poll behind, the teams you'd expect like Clemson and Miami, but also behind Duke and some other teams like that. So I'd say locally there's a lot of optimism, but nationally there's a bit more skepticism.
Do you think that fan base and media will turn on him if he starts to lose? Because all of a sudden everything else that's gone along with this, now that's a problem because now you're not winning. How long do you think it will take for them to turn?
And I think it would take at least a season, if not more, and it would have to look really bad, I think, for them to turn, just because this football program's never really had a ton of success. They're not a team that's winning the ACC every year or anything like that. So I think it would take some time. And I think Bill is savvy enough that he could probably talk his way out of early struggles with, we have 70 new players. We have, we're overhauling the roster. This is going to take time. It was never going to happen immediately. But then on the flip side, if they, win the season opener there, I think that feels totally different. And suddenly it's, look, Bill Belichick, 33rd NFL team down here. We're already, winning on national TV. So I don't think they're going to turn on him terribly quickly if it doesn't go well, but remains to be seen.
Yeah, because remember with Deion Sanders and people were and Deion's done a great job in Colorado, but remember when they had that early success, they won the first game that they weren't supposed to win, and then it all fell apart and the glow came off of it. I'm wondering if that's what the situation there is going to be, because if you sell out those season tickets as they have under the promise of winning, you know, I don't know if I still want season tickets if I realize this is the same old thing, you know? Like, how did he recruit? Is the team, like, does it have better talent than they had before?
Well, it's interesting that you brought Deion's team up where, like, watching those first games in the shootouts, it was like, oh, wow, they can really score. And then you realize, oh, but they didn't build an offensive or a defensive line, and then they just crumbled. I don't think Bill would be that negligent with the roster construction. So I do think they'll be competitive. I don't think it'll be like as top-heavy as the Deion thing turned out to be right off the bat.
And there won't be celebrities on the sideline.
Yeah.
But there's that, and I think the other thing is, you know, Bill always got attention here because, A, it's the NFL, and B, after, you know, winning early on, he remained compelling no matter how he acted because, you know, the team was good and Brady was here for the majority of it, so people were still paying attention. I think the real danger is if they are lackluster or, you know, they don't get off to a hot start, that people just don't pay that much attention because in a vacuum, there's not that much to pay attention to with Bill. He doesn't give you much in the post-game press conferences, and if the team isn't that good and it's not a total dumpster fire either, maybe people just become disinterested and they become apathetic, which is the last thing the university wants out of this deal. I mean, they want people paying attention for better or worse, and if they're just okay, and people soon realize that Bill is not a draw. During the games, he's not. After the games, he's not. If they just stop paying attention altogether, I think that's maybe the real danger for the school.
Absolutely. I think that's the nightmare for UNC is that they're just kind of irrelevant and boring. And then suddenly basketball season starts and down there, everyone just cares about the basketball team. And then Bill is the highest paid employee in the state of North Carolina coaching a mediocre football team. So, yeah, I think that'd be a worst case scenario for them is just an irrelevance. And I think it would be a little easier to slip into just because they have the basketball program there that people care so much about.
Yeah, and then, you know, where do you put the NIL money and, like, you know, what are you going to invest in? Are you going to invest in the basketball program or the football program? That's the problem with having those, you know, being that ACC school and having those two, you know, rob Peter to pay Paul situation, you know, especially with the new guidelines they're going to put up there. All right, well, are you still in North Carolina or have you left?
No, I'm back. I'm back home in Boston now.
Okay. Now, did you keep your binoculars?
There's only 1 day of media access, so it didn't make a whole lot of sense to stay down there for 4, even though that might have been the initial plan.
That's Bill's dream. I mean, he keeps the media not at arm's length, but tucked away in a corner, and they only see him 1 day a week? Oh, my God.
I have to ask, was Jordan anywhere to be seen?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see her, no. I did not notice Jordan, and, you know, I was going with the binoculars, so if anyone was going to find her, it probably would have been me, but no, I didn't see her down there.
What did the people, did anyone comment from the local media about that whole relationship, or are they over it?
No, they're pretty over it. So I didn't hear a whole lot about that from them.
All right. You know, we're saying, is he a pay pig and she a findom? Do you know what those two things are?
I do not know.
Okay. Well,
should I?
A findom is a woman who dominates a man, and the pay pig is the man who's dominated, and he's being dominated financially. He likes to give the money away, and that's one theory on the relationship.
Well, you learn something new every day, I guess.
Yes, you do if you come on this show enough, Chris. Chris Mason, read his reporting in Mass Live. Thank you, Chris.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.